When you read a resume, what do you look for? What turns you off?
Turns me off is reading resumes, let me tell you that.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis. How did you get the job?
I woke up every morning, and I think for 8 hours straight, all I did was surf the internet, write my resume, write cover letters. I treated the job search as a job and applied for every job you could possibly think of.
Whether you were qualified or not?
Exactly, everything.
So when I was in my first year of business school, I knew that I wanted to work on climate change somewhere in the developing world. And so I went looking for think tanks and advocacy organizations that were working on climate change, and I found one in India. And I wrote to them and said, can I have an internship this summer? And they said, sure, come do a project, tell us about it at the end of the summer. By the way, we can't give you any money. And then I remembered having gone to a lecture where I saw the head of the environment program at the Hewlett Foundation talking about their work on climate change in Brazil, Mexico, and China. And I thought to myself, I bet they're thinking about India too. So I just called him up, and I didn't realize at the time how foolishly courageous it was for me, a student, to call up the head of the environment program at a major foundation. And I said, I've got this opportunity at this institute, but I don't know what I can do that would be useful. And I want you to give me some advice on how I can be useful. Click. Oh, and by the way, I really need some money. And the next day, one of his colleagues called me back and said, actually, we are thinking about India. He wants to have a meeting with you and with the head of the environment program at the Packard Foundation. And I mean, what an incredible stroke of luck it was. But it wasn't only a stroke of luck. I think it succeeded because, one, I reached out, I was proactive about it. Two, I tried to anticipate their needs. And then three, I was humble about what I did and didn't know.
I love the phrase foolishly courageous, because that sort of brings it all together. It's risk-taking, it's making your own luck.
And there was an intellectual component to it as well. Like, you had to actually do the analysis to think about what might their next step be. And that's where the anticipation came in. But then you actually have to pull the trigger too.
I hired somebody on our staff recently, and she's not Latino, but she is an immigrant to this country. And when she came in to talk to me, she told me about her immigrant experience and how that connects to the interest and passion she has, of working with the Latino community. Instantly, I just felt like I connected with her.
Do you think that same story in other job interviews would be a detriment?
It could be a detriment, yeah. But you have to know the work you want to do and who you want to work for. I wouldn't want to work for somebody who doesn't take me as I am.
There's no city in the US that doesn't have 24 organizations where you couldn't go work. Anti-poverty organizations, housing organizations. If I was just starting out my career and I had no track record and no resume and nothing to point to, I would just show up at one of these organizations and say, I'm here to do whatever you need, and especially I'm really interested in helping raise money. Those are like the magic words in a nonprofit. It's like, whoa, somebody who says they want to raise money, it's like, come on in.